Hi, I'm going to read about this professional ethics and liability of the auditor. So, learning of this outcome is to understand the application of the international and Indian Code of Ethics, then the application of fundamental principle of professional ethics by the professional accounts practice and otherwise. Then identifying threats and safeguard measures while compliance of fundamental principles of professional ethics. These are the three things we're going to learn. What are the three things is international and Indian code IPC theoretically. Then is the fundamental principle, ethical principles. What is the ethical principle for practice and service? Then is safeguarding, for how to safeguard ourselves from the works what we do. So these are the main things we're going to learn this concept. We may go single page by page because it's around I think page completely will go 170 pages normally. So we'll take a stretch and we read each and every concept, and we will take every 30 minutes continuous to read, and we will cover our syllabus and understand whatever thing. This is a joint process. I'm going to read each and every paragraph and understand and explain the story so I can use it for the early proposals. That's the only goal. So while in the exam, we need to be able to understand what we study and how to deliver it successfully in the exam. That's our goal. Okay. So this chapter encloses a chapter and encompasses relevant professional ethical guidance required under standard of conduct expected from the chartered accountant. This chapter will divide into various sections to facilitate systematic and easy learning. So the professional ethics chapter is divided into over the code of ethics, chartered accountants act, then council guidance and recommendation of self-regulating measures. These are the four things out of which the chartered accountant act use members of the institute what they feel, that is chartered accountant practice and chartered accountant service otherwise, type of misconduct, professional misconduct, other misconduct, disciplinary procedures for the misconducts and other misconducts, and schedule in the act, first schedule and second schedule. These are the things under the chartered accountant act is there. We're going to see that. So there is an example. What's the example is a CA, one of the leading practitioner in Varanasi. The partner of the audit firm consists of 8 partners. The firm is allotted a branch audit. Branch audit is bank audit. In the bank, they have an audit, that is a separate branch. They have an audit. Okay. In this audit, what happens is a leading public sector bank, the same city, having an advances of 450 crores. What is advance? They have given loan. Advance of the advances portfolio of the branch consists of some reputed export firms. It is noted some of the audit that drawing power of the stock statements submitted by the bankers to these firms are not arrived properly. What is the priority procedure where the bankers will ask the advanced person, whoever they advance, they need to submit a report, that report, stock report. So what is the stock you have, this will be the collateral for that security. It should be security. For that they give a proper stock report, but overlooking the matter, the issue has arisen, and by overlooking choosing to say, besides the staff has dig out certain frivolous procedure irregularities in relation to this accounts, and they have found something which is not correct. Okay. Besides the staff also dug out certain frivolous procedures and irregularities in these accounts of all these firms or otherwise operating satisfactorily. See, intend to report this account as NPA because some accounts are not following, they are not properly submitted documents and they are not performing well. So he wanted to report as NPA, the memorandum of changes, and creating a headache to the AGM in every other day. So what happens when you report something as the NPA, non-performing asset, the bankers, this is the money of who? This is money of the customers. Customers' money has been given as loan to the loan to the clients. So if they had cleared NPA, bankers are required to give the money to the deposited person. So that became a headache. So the completion of this audit is delayed on the pretext or other, and even even informal calls from the circle of DGM proves to be futile. The amount involved is huge. Such stake of the branch audit. The frustrated and harassed AGM of the branches advised the owners of the firm to meet the SER in his office and sort out the matter themselves. Out of the 7 of the firm, 3 owners met him in the office and assured the avail services of the firm's immediate future. They also tried to assuage his ego. He leaves out of the accounts of the reporting. Owners from the remaining firm did not meet up and prevened by their loan accounts are reported as NPA. Adverse comments to be made in LFRA. So in LFRA, they need to give a report stating that this is a loan which is got by the banks, given by the bank to such firms. That firms are required to pay the dues in proper time. They have not paid properly. At such a time, this account may be considered as the NPA, and they're going to report it. This is the things that are in LFRA. Is the chartered accountant is acting ethically? Was he acting ethically? Because some firms has approached him in his office and asking them to clear not to mention their NPA in the books or in the report, and for not reporting, they are bribing him as they will join us as an auditors and they will acquire his services. And the answer is no. He is trying to put his personal benefit in the interest all over the others. So that is personal benefits over others. So this is being done by him, and he is not looking for objectively. And distinguishing feature of chartered accountant profession is to acceptance of a responsibility, act in public interest. So it's a responsibility. What is the main responsibility? To acceptance of responsibility and act in public interest. Accepting responsible and act on public interest. This is the main goal of always our rule. Okay, so we can act on ours, but only on the public basis we can act. Such behavior attitude is not expected from profession. Ethics is something which comes from the individual intuitively. It has to be ingrained in the temperament of the individual to withstand of selfish motive or temperament. So, in the state of mind of act of performance accordance with the moral principle, the spirit of ethics to be followed, and not only for what expressly stated or codified. Consider another source of practically chartered accountant who comes to know about certain information by virtue of his associate with the client. He is also dealing such other clients in the same line of business. Can he use the information acquired from the first client to advantage or disadvantage of the second client? Again, the answer would be negative. By what? Because if another auditor or colleague is able to know this auditor is doing such way, why can't I use this and I can acquire more clients? You can't do it. Okay, as we doing so, it will breach confidentiality. Main thing of our profession is confidentiality, because even your relatives will ask, you're doing audit for him, how much he is accruing, how much is money, everything there. You can't breach this contract. You can't say out what is their income, and you can't use information where you acquire and use that information to acquire more money. This is not the rule. We can't do it. So this is the rule we should not break. And the professional accountant is not supposed to allow a conflict of interest to compromise the professional or business judgment. So conflict will compromise professional business judgment. So confidentiality is fine thing and should not break professional judgment. You can't break a professional judgment. That's also an important point we need to learn from this point. Okay. The exhaustive code of ethics is placed in the public accountant. It's not only a fundamental principle governing professional service along with the conceptual framework, but also deal with the independent requirement of assurance engagement. Besides, these are the specific procedures of Chartered Accountant Act dealing with the professional misconduct. So these are the act we should follow, and there are rules and regulations must we will follow to act as an auditor. So introducing it. Take a deep breath before going in. Super, we'll go in. The Oxford Dictionary states ethics, the moral principle that governs personal behavior, how an activity is conducted. So the activity is the conduct, how to conduct an activity in a moral basis, how to govern activity by through which a human behavior act to which in a moral basis. That is the main important of the word. Professional ethics. It is a branch of knowledge that deals with the moral basis, whereas professional ethics consists of personal, organizational, and corporate standards of behavior expected for professions. The chartered accountants are professionals who are engaged in build trust in vast variety of users, whereas shareholders, governments, bank, investors, employees, and others, which improves in public interest responsible for the profession. Like other professions, chartered accountants also have some sort of code in ethics. The code of ethics established ethical requirement for the professional accountants. So, because even though they have this professional chartered accountants who are the used bankers for the bank professional statement we provide, and as the banks companies who when providing chartered account provide a report that favors helps in the shareholders, not only shareholders, it helps to understand the financial situation of their employer, that is the employee is able to understand, and by seeing this professional, investors will be understand what is the growth rate, is it as we invested in this company, will it give us a fruit of gain, is it such kind of things also, all based on our auditor report. So we can't compromise it through anything. So professional ethics is more important, as they say it's a professional consists of personal, organizational, and corporate standards of behavior expected for professions. The chartered account, either as a practice or in service, has to abide of this ethical behavior. They are expected to follow fundamental principle of professional ethics while performing the jobs. So they need to have their professional ethics while following these jobs. Service users of professional ethics should be able to feel secure, and there exists a framework of professional ethics which governs a profession of the service. Any deviation of the ethical responsibility brings in disciplinary mechanism into action on chartered accountants. So any deviation from this disciplinary mechanism will action in chartered accountants. Okay, if any chartered accountant does not follow rules which laid by Chartered Accountant Act, then the chartered accountant will be punished. Yeah, he will be punished as per the provisions. Code of ethics is necessarily. Ethics is a whole human civilization. It's nothing but the laws or the rules of acceptable behavior. So it's a rules and regulation which say you should follow it. Everything is ethical, but they are stressed in a point which should be followed. It's acceptable. You definitely need to follow. The whole function of the professional is particularly CA profession is a credibility. So we make a statement that give credibility among the users. So we bring credibility. Who are not we give credibility? Shareholders, employees of the share company. Not only employee, government able to know what is going on. Why need to know? Bankers need to know. Public will know how is the performance. Why public will know? Because they may be the investors. Future or present, both. So this is the most important thing you need to know. Why this credibility is more important. So such a way the credibility is more important. You can't compromise on this credibility. The main ingredients of profession is independence. An auditor need to be independent while carrying out this audit. The provision discussed the same may ensure that independence of the members of institute is not affected. Our institute motto is Yakshe Suptishu Jagati. The accepted by the court of Purnasha, it's donated to eternal vigilance, awaken when the whole world is asleep. So, how can you have this more credibility? Only when a CA is more independent in this work. No external influence or internal influence. Affect his decision making. So when a chartered accountant is totally independent of his work, such work will be well and good. So this is what we need to have, and this is what said external vigilance, awakening of the whole world is asleep. The distinguishing feature of accountancy profession is acceptable with the responsibility to act in public interest. Code of ethics seeks to protect the interests of the profession as the whole. It shields, the enables the command respect. Now, overview of the code of ethics. The reviewed code of ethics contain the following materials: that is part 1 and part 2, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 4A, 4B. So there is 4 part, that is part 1, part A, part B, part 1, 2, 3, 4A, 4B. So part 1 say complying with the code, fundamental principle, complying with the code, fundamental principle, and conceptual framework of fundamental principles and conceptual. So code, principle, concept. Code, principles, and concepts. These all been given in the part 1. So part 2, what the part 2 says is the professional accountant service sets out the additional material that applies to professional accountants. The service of performing professional activities. The professional accountant services and professional accountants employed engage in contracts and executive, non-executive capacity. As commerce, trade, service, public sector, non-profit sector, regulated or professional. So how to be engaged in the contract, how to be employed, if what happens, contract, service and commerce, whatever the duty other than the work what we do. Even though we are not giving attestation services, we do other services like profession, what should be our professional ethics. Second part also, individual who is in professional accountants in public practice, when performing professional activities, pursue to this relationship to the firms as employees. So how to act in relationship with this firm of this employee in pursuing such activities. Is it be ethical? How should be ethical? Such kind of things given part 3. Part 2. Part 3 is the professional accountants public practice who are in practice. The set of additional material that applies to professional accountant in public practice and professional service. Independence or independence standards. Part A, independence of audit and audit review engagement. Part 4B is independence in assurance engagement other than the audit of review engagement. So independence standards additional set of material that applies to professional accountants in practice to provide assurance services. So who are writing this auditor report, they need to have independent standards. All the standards apply. Part A, what says applies to performing audit and review engagement. You are doing some audit and review engagement, and that standards will be given. Part 4B is independence other than audit and review engagement, that applies to assurance engagement. You are certifying some certificate, we are giving such kind of things that you are going to mention in this part B. The glossary, the last part, contains defined terms. What are the terms to be in, adding explanation whether of the any abbreviations given for that explanation has been given, and describe the terms and specific meanings of certain code. In the code, certain words are there, and that word what they mean, such thing is given. For example, in the glossary part 4, the term audit engagement applies to equally to both audit and review engagement. So in the audit engagement, whether what I do audit, only engagement, I would be giving a review. It is also applied to both. It's not only a single word. So single word has an extensive meaning that has been defined, where it's abbreviated, what are the meaning is given. So overview of this code of ethics is part A, part B, part 1, 2, 3, 4A, 4B glossary. This 5, totally 6 parts are there. So 1, complying of the code, fundamental principle, conceptual framework. Second one is professional accountant and service. Third, professional accountants, public practice. So service 2, 3 is practice. And independent standards, say 4A, independent how to, what is for review and audit and review engagement, what is the independence of audit, other than independence assurance engagement, other than audit and review engagement. And last part is glossary, not grocery, glossary. Came to page 6, super. Around we have 170 pages, I think so. I think 172 pages, that's good. 172 pages, we have came to page 6, good. So how many pages are remaining? 166 pages are remaining, we'll do it. So we need to understand this one, so we can have a revision. What happens? Auditor is going to be appointed. When an auditor is appointed, he have to follow some rules and regulation. Yeah, while preparing financial statements, he going to follow accounting standards. In case of a listed company, he going to comply with NDAs. He going to comply. He's going to see Income Tax Act, Companies Act, whether the financials are prepared as per the rules and regulation. All the things are correct. While preparing a financial audit, going through the audit, he will comply through all the rules and regulations. That's all correct. But what he should comply other than the work? What is his ethical thing? Whether he can collect bribery, whether he can give a report that is not true and fair, whether what will be the punishment for providing some activities, what these kind of things to be given separately, so the future auditors will conduct themselves in an ethical manner, and our credibility of chartered accountants will be well much. The foundation created by our elders for this credibility will be protected. So that credibility of what we give in the audit on a review engagement, other than review engagement which we given in part 4A, 4B. So, and most important thing is this is giving the code or the principle and even the conceptual framework, what is the code, what is the principles you need to follow, and what are the who complete this chartered accountant and going into practice, what the rules and regulations they need to follow, and the chartered accountants who are in the public practice, what they have to do. Everything is given along with the abbreviation in the glossary. This is the thing we have seen, this is the summary, and we will continue on. We will go to the next concept that will help us to see. The code contains sections and address to specific topics. Some sections contain subsections and dealing with the specific aspect of topic. So each section in the code is constructed with the appropriate as follows: introduction, requirement, and application material. 3 things will be there. So every section, there have been sections will be there. Sometimes section has subsections, and subsections will be given briefly. How will be the section is there will be introduction, then after introduction what is the requirement and the applications of this material. The 3 things will be given, so you need to understand this. So introduction set of the subject matter, the address to the sections, and the introduction to the requirement and application material, the concept of conceptual framework. So already we see we have this what is introduction to it. Introduction material contain information including explanation terms used, which is important to understanding the application of the part. So what are the matters and how and deeply explained for us and each and every part. Requirement is general and specific obligation to respect of the subject matters. In which application you need to use it, what is the requirement for this clause, is there any rule or maybe something. Example, you go on buy a ticket, then clearly said this ticket to be held with you till the end of the journey. At any time during the journey, inspector may come and ask you about the ticket, you need to show him, and if the ticket is not present with you during the course of journey, you may need to pay a penalty of this much rupees. Such kind of details will be given in a ticket. So such things, such such conditions and what is the requirement, what are how long you can have a working paper, how you keep the working papers, do we need to give the working papers to the client when he required, or if someone approach you, what do you want to do, if there is client is in unethical, he is doing unethical activities, you come to know, so he need to conduct the audit, you need to bend your ethics, is there a requirement for it, you need to understand each and every concept. So such a thing is been explained for the what is the requirement, when you need to if a client companies ask you when you can you appoint yourself as an auditor, and if you appoint, what is the procedure need to follow as a companies like the ADT1 should be filed on date of appointment, and the directors need to first the company need to provide you an appointment letter, like request you to appoint you, then you need to send a letter that I accept your appointment, then they will ratify your appointment in a board meeting, and they will send you appointment letter, engagement letter they will be sent by you. Then after you need to form a file ADT1 where you stating that you have been appointed as a company was an auditor for this current year, and then after you can file. Such procedures are there. If you need to follow each and every bit during the process, you can't skip a single process and go on. So that is what has been clearly estimated and understand to this. Okay. A professional accountant shall comply with the code. There might be in circumstances where laws and regulations preclude an accountant from complying with certain parts of the code. In circumstances, those laws and regulations provide an accountant shall comply with the parts of the code. Sometimes the code may say you need to follow some rules and regulation, but some point of time you may not. So that is being explained when you need to follow, not able to come to a conclusion, and you come with the circumstance which is not in the part of this code, what you need to do, how to get clarified, how you can act ethically, and most of it because you are a confidentiality, and not only confidentiality, credibility, your sign gives a credibility to the users, so you need to act in the most credible way. So that's certain kind of codes to be understand. So fundamental principle, in order to achieve the objective of accountants profession, the professional accountants have to observe a number of prerequisites or fundamental principles. The fundamental principles are discussed in the code of ethics to comply with the given below: integrity, objectivity, professional competence, due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. So it's like an onion layer. Okay, first one they came is professional behavior. Professional behavior. After this professional behavior comes second confidentiality. You can't say, because when you go and meet a client, you should be professional. You can't go and act in unprofessional way. You need to be dressed properly, you need to collect the documents, and that documents to be protected by you any part of time. You need to provide service as in the time given. You can't extend your time, and you can't ask client to pay the penalties. You need to, if you take an audit, you need to comply with the rules and regulation, complete the audit in due time, and this engagement should be in a professional way. Okay, that's the thing. And confidentiality, you can't go and shout in the internet like I took the audit of this company, I'm this big guy, or you can't even say this client has this much money, he has this much crores in his accounts. You can't say that one. And they can't, if any relatives come to you and they can ask you, you know about the client, how much he makes money, and what is the source of his income. You can't say, you should not say. That's a confidentiality. Professional competence and due course. Competence and due care. What is this professional competence and due care? The more than the integrity, the client may ask you to prepare a financials. You need to, if he is opting for internal audit, if he asks you to prepare a financials as an internal auditor, you can do it. If you are statutory auditor, they ask you to go through all the books thoroughly, and then you don't take samples, you take 100% audit, and you give me a report, true and fair view, but 100% you do it, sir. We give you time, you should do it. You should do each and everything. You can't leave, because example, if you are doing an income tax audit, rather than you go and see all the things and you don't file it. You have done the audit, but you won't file the ITR return. That is not the professional competence. You can't say that I don't know how to file. If you are not able to know something, you learn. If don't know, please don't take the audit, and they don't take the work. If you know something, take the work. You don't know the work, you just take it and wait for someone, ask help, and you complete the work and take time. It's not a thing. Objectivity. So it should be goal oriented. Our goal is to take this audit, complete with this the due time, and as promised we need to provide a certificate and with this true and fair view as an auditor. And integrity, you should be very integrative. Both, you can't take client property. Example, you go say to the client may offer you food, drink, any other services as you require because you are doing audit. So you need to be more careful, and you need to be very much careful and don't take a single penny out of them. The fees what you get is a professional thing, but other things what you take. I had a client who previously said a previous auditor came and done the audit. After going, he asked us to give some gifts. Yeah, he said, yeah, I have done the audit, why can't you provide some gifts to us? Yeah, such a way they asked, clearly they asked us. So don't be like that. You should be integral. The fees you get is time, and don't waste your client time and your time. Take the working papers, have the working papers for each and every document you collect, stamp it or signature it, have it in control. Okay, that is what you do. So this what's explained what is integrity, objectivity, professional competence, confidentiality, then what? Confidentiality, then after professional behavior. So these are the things being explained here. We will go step by step in the next video. Thank you.